became a hushed legend and a hollow shell. Evermere Estate had been the jewel of the countryside, a sprawling Gothic manor of alabaster stone and soaring spires, nestled at the edge of Blackthorn Woods. Built in 1887 by the Vanth family, Evermere was once a place of wonder, mystery, and refinement. By daylight, it radiated grandeur. Manicured gardens unfurled like poetry across the grounds, bursting with night-blooming jasmine, blood-red roses, and silver-tipped ivy that curled over wrought iron arbors. A marble fountain, carved in the likeness of twin angels weeping into a pool, stood at the heart of the estate, its waters said to run crystal clear even in winter. But Evermere was more than a home. It was a sanctuary for the strange and gifted. Lady Seraphina Vanth, matriarch of the estate, was a reclusive figure whispered to possess a second sight. She hosted salons deep into the night, drawing artists, occult scholars, mediums, and mystics from across Europe. By invitation only, guests would arrive for seances, dream experiments, and private exhibitions of phenomena that defied explanation. It was said that within Evermere's grand east wing, behind a silver-handled oak door, some had glimpsed truths about the world no man was meant to know. And then, one autumn night, the Vanths were gone. No signs of struggle, no notes, only an untouched breakfast set for 7, still warm when the maid arrived the next morning. The estate was abandoned within weeks. Time claimed the gardens. Ivy choked the marble angels, and the once warm light that glowed from its windows was replaced by silence, thick, suffocating, watching. Yet some say, on cold, wet nights like this one, when the mist curls just right and the gate creaks, Evermere mourns. Locals kept their distance. Children dared each other to run to the gate and back. Most made it. Some claimed they heard whispers. Others said they felt fingers graze their backs just as they turned to run. One boy, Thomas Rayner, went farther, touched the gate with both hands, turned to boast, and collapsed in a fit of screaming laughter. He never spoke again. His family moved away in that same month. No one crossed the threshold after that. Evermere became part of the local folklore, whispered about in taverns, half-joked about in schoolyards, and left well alone. People spoke of lights flickering in the upper windows on moonless nights, of weeping heard when it hadn't rained, of shadows that moved behind drawn curtains, even though no one lived there. Some said the estate was cursed. Others claimed it was waiting for something, or someone. Mara. Mara and her friends were playing Dare for Candies, a reckless Halloween tradition that no one ever really expected to be taken seriously. But Mara, fierce-eyed, quick-tongued Mara, always did. That October dusk, with pockets full of toffees and a crown of plastic fangs in her hoodie, she stood before the rusted gate of Evermere Estate as her friends hooted and hollered behind her. "Go on, Mara. Don't chicken out. Just touch the porch and the candy's yours." She knew it was a bad idea. Everyone did. But she wanted to prove she wasn't scared. She wanted the candy. She wanted the glory. So she laughed, rolled her eyes, and pushed the gate. It creaked open with a shriek that made birds scatter from the trees. She stepped through and vanished. Not in a flash, not in a puff of smoke. 1 second she was there, her foot hitting the cracked stone path, and the next, gone. Her laughter died mid-note. Her friends blinked, confused, looked at each other. Wait, where'd she go? But something was wrong. They couldn't quite picture her face anymore. couldn't remember what her voice sounded like. Her name tasted unfamiliar on their tongues. Within minutes, Mara wasn't a missing friend. She was just a fading thought. By nightfall, the police chalked it up to rumor. Kids playing games. Probably ran away. No sign of entry. Her parents swore she existed. The town barely believed them. Her name became a ghost that hung low in the air. A murmur that made grown men swallow hard, and mothers grip their children's hands a little tighter. Mara had passed through Evermere's gate, and now she was invisible. A memory only the house could recall. A new statistic in the long line of disappearances whispered about in that part of the countryside. The kind of story children tell around flashlights. The kind that ends with a dare Clara was determined to find her sister, Mara. The rain began just as Clara stepped through the rusted iron gate of the Evermere estate. It fell in a fine mist, veiling the decaying mansion in a soft shimmer, as though nature were trying to obscure what time had laid bare. Evermere had been empty for 30 years, left to rot after the family vanished without a trace one bitter autumn night. Clara wasn't there for ghosts or stories. She was there for her sister. 2 weeks ago, Mara had come to the mansion on a dare. She never came back. Clara crossed the overgrown lawn, boots sinking into mud. Vines clung to the house like skeletal fingers. The front door hung open, splintered but strangely untouched. Inside, the air was thick and damp. Faded portraits lined the hallway, their eyes dark with mildew, or something worse. Clara whispered Mara's name. The silence swallowed it. A chill trailed up Clara's spine, as if the house had exhaled. The silence thickened, stretching taut with something just out of reach, something listening. She pressed on, her flashlight casting long, trembling shadows across the warped board floor. The portraits seemed to shift as she passed, not turning, not quite, but watching. At the end of the hallway, a grand staircase sagged with age. She climbed, each step creaking under her weight. At the landing, to her right, a corridor stretched into darkness. But to her left, a door stood ajar, light flickering behind it. A candle. Clara's breath caught. She hadn't brought any light but her flashlight. She explored room by room. Most were empty shells, old furniture draped in cobwebs, wallpaper peeling like skin. But in the east wing, at the end of a narrow corridor, she found the door. Inside, the room was pristine. Gleaming floors, polished chandelier, velvet chair before a seamless wall of glass. No decay, no dust, as if it had been waiting for her. She stepped forward, compelled by something deeper than curiosity, something primal, magnetic. Her boots clicked sharply against the gleaming wood floor, the sound unnaturally loud, as though amplified by the chandelier's pale, flickering light. Then she saw her. "Mara, is that you?" Clara shouted. Then, Mara, on the other side of the glass, still, mouth agape, hands pressed to the surface. No sound, no movement. "Mara," Clara shouted, slamming her palms against it. Ice cold, unyielding, not glass. Mara mouthed 3 words. "Don't turn around." Clara froze. Clara's breath hitched. Her skin prickled. Something was behind her. Something dark. Watching. She forced herself to look only at Mara, to keep breathing. "None of you will ever leave." The voice roared. She tried to scream, but her voice was gone, stolen by the same silence that had taken Mara. And then the floor beneath her feet vanished. She fell, now was pulled through the mirror, through liquid glass that turned to ice around her, choking her breath, scraping her skin. Mara's face rushed toward her, eyes wide with terror. And then, snap, everything stilled. Clara's ears rang with silence, her chest frozen mid-breath. She was upright, standing somehow, but the room had changed. The glass wall was still there, but now they were both trapped on the inside. The glass shimmered between them. Clara threw herself at it, pounding, clawing, screaming, but no sound came out. She clawed at the glass until her fingers bled. From the walls, hands began to emerge. Children's hands, grasping and thin. Dozens of them, then hundreds, reaching out, pressing against the air. Faces formed in the wallpaper, lost, forgotten ones, whispering, weeping. Clara stepped back, mind reeling. But beneath the horror, something clicked. Echoes, memories. That's what it wanted. That's what it was built from. She remembered what had been whispered. Evermere doesn't forget. It collects. Clara faced the creature with trembling. She reached deep into memory. I remember, Clara said, stepping forward. I remember everything. Clara took a step forward, voice steady now. I remember her first bike ride. Another step. I remember the way she screamed during thunderstorms and wouldn't sleep unless I held her hand. The mirror cracked. I remember the day she disappeared, and I swore I'd find her. The monster screamed, not aloud, but inside her skull. A blast of static and pain. It lunged, but Clara ran through it, straight into Mara, straight into the glass. Glass shattered into brilliant shards of memory, each showing a different version of them, a different reality Evermere had swallowed. Clara grabbed her sister and held on. I choose her. We are not yours. The room shook. Sunlight broke through. The creature dissolved into ink and smoke. Clara felt herself falling again, but this time she held tight to Mara, falling, until they landed on the floor. They felt a perfect silence, still overwhelming. A rush of relief and joy flooded them. Mara lay gasping beside Clara, whole and alive, her eyes wide with disbelief. Clara helped her sit up as Mara stirred, groaning softly. Then Clara pulled her close, laughing and crying all at once. We did it, she whispered. We made it out. They looked at each other, covered in glass dust, tears, and the weight of everything they couldn't explain. Clara gasped, blinking against the harsh light. The ceiling above was high and arched, a broken chandelier swaying gently. Dust floated lazily through the air. They were right back where it all began, in the grand hall of Evermere,